Well, good evening and welcome, family and friends, to another edition of Let's Talk About It. We want to thank you for joining in with us this evening. And let me say thank you to all of our friends and family members who have been sharing with us ever since we've started this live streaming broadcast. You have been faithful, and we want to thank you for tuning in and for being a part of what we have been doing. If you're watching us on Facebook, we ask that you would like our page and also share it with your family and friends and even start a watch party. And then you can also submit comments, and we will be able to see your comments live. Submit your comments. If you will acknowledge the disclaimer from StreamYard, when you submit your comments, we will be able to see your name and we will be able to put your comments up on the screen. Also, if you're watching us by way of YouTube, we want to say thank you for joining in with us. We ask that you would subscribe to our uh, YouTube channel. Also, select the little bell. That way, you will get notified every time that we come on. And so we want to say thank you as well. Let me also say to our YouTube family, on last week, our show was kicked off not because of something that we did, but if you remember, we were showing clips from Dr. Umar Johnson's interview several years ago on The Breakfast Club and how he was talking about things uh, back then. That was 2016, and we were making the parallel of how they're still relevant today. Well, YouTube thought that our content violated their protocols with scams and that sort of thing, and so they kicked our broadcast off And so some of you sent in concerns, wanted to know if everything was okay. And so, yes, everything is okay. We did file a formal appeal, asking them what was the content that was wrong. What exactly was it that violated their policy? Of course, we did not get a answer on that. They just continued to let us know that they were upholding their decision. So that's what happens. We get the narrative gets changed, and we see things, and so we have to continue to do what we can to share the information. We again, all we're trying to do was keep the members of our community informed about what's going on, and to talk about issues that are relevant. We cannot afford to have our heads stuck in the sand, but we've got to come out of the sand so that we can at least acknowledge what's going on, and then talk about it and share it with other family members and friends. So that's what happened last week on YouTube. But they said it was our first offense, so they were giving us a warning. uh, so we'll try to see if we can continue to keep things relevant and also continue to not infringe upon the rights that have been established. As you know, voting is one of our platforms, and so we want you to be mindful that the deadline for us to get your voter registration forms in is October the 19th, 2020. If you want to be able to be able to vote in the general election, which is November the 3rd. I am encouraging everyone, one, to get registered to vote. You can register to vote at usa.gov. You do not have to even leave your home. We know that we're still dealing with the effects of COVID-19, and so folk are still being challenged with that. And so, again, you can register to vote. If you have not registered, we encourage you to do so. I have started what I have called the voting dozen. Voting dozen. That is you and then get 12 other people to make sure that they are registered to vote and to get them to the polls. That voting dozen consists of four family members, and then also four co-workers, four family members, four co-workers, and then we ask that you will get two seniors and then two young people. That would be your 12. With yourself would be 13. And so, if you would like to take that challenge with me to say, yes, I will get my voting dozen together, just send us a email and let us know that you are with us. So you can always contact us by way of our email address, which is yes, let's talk about it, the number one at gmail.com. That's yes, let's talk about it, the number one at gmail.com. And so, as always, we want to be able to share relevant information with you and keep you informed about what's going on in and around our community. So glad to have sharing with us this evening our co-host, Dr. Davis. Dr. Davis, welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About It.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad to be with you. I appreciate you inviting me to be a part of this great talk show that you have. Let's talk about it. And I'm just hoping that we're reaching the people and that everybody's hoping to understand the severity of this election that's coming up. And once again, what's happening not only with the election, but what's going on in America. So I appreciate you having me.
All right, sir. Well, we've got a good show tonight. We're going to talk about what's happening, getting ready to go back to school. The question is, are you ready? We know that our learning environment for our young people was interrupted last year when COVID 19, well, I mean, this year when COVID 19 hit. and school as we knew it to be had changed. They had to stop in class, in person learning, and they went to home learning, they went to virtual learning. There were a lot of problems with getting it set up with our students and the teachers making connection. Also, it was brought out and unleashed that many of the students, especially in the African American community in the low income sections, many of the students didn't even have access to Wi Fi. Not only did they not have access to Wi Fi, but some of them didn't have computers. And so the school had to scramble to try to get laptops to some of those students and trying to get Wi-Fi so that they would be able to connect. And there was problems even with the schoolwork being dispersed, getting to the homes. Um, it was being sent out and was being received late. And it's all kinds of problems, Dr. Davis, with
Right.
our school system. That's not just here in the state of Maryland, but they were having problems around this country. And I'm sure you probably have gotten some conversation from members of your church, members of your family, of the young folk that were having issues with connecting for that school year.
Absolutely. And up in Pennsylvania, we had a couple schools to open, and then they had to shut down um, because some of the students rather, um, had COVID-19. And one of the schools up here where my grandson graduated from 2 years ago, they had opened, and they found out they had 4 students that had COVID-19, and they had to shut it right back down. Some of the students, just like you said, didn't have um, access to computer, or some of them didn't have Wi-Fi, and this was a burden on some of the parents up here because they had to go and get computer or Wi-Fi, or get things set up so they could do this. So it's a burden on the parents. But once again, I fault the superintendents, because once again, the superintendent of the school should have got all this in order. They had long enough to get prepared and to deal with this thing. They knew it was coming. They knew that the school year was going to open, and so they should have dealt with it. I'm just saying that it's amazing to me how they let things go. And Betsy DeVos, who Trump has put in over the school system, um, I just can't believe the way they handle stuff. I just can't believe it. But as he said, it is what it is.
Well, you kind of got ahead of me there. I was still talking about the problems that they had from last school year.
Oh, okay.
But there's no problem. But we go right into it. But yes, even this new school year, as you know, some of the schools have already opened. Maryland schools will open next week. The governor has now eased us. Well, as of 5 o'clock on tomorrow, we'll move the state into phase 3 of the reopening. But one of the concerns that many are having is the fact that no real concrete plans are in place as it relates to the school system.
Right.
He's kind of leaving it to the individual districts to put their own plan together. And I'm like you. I think it's a failure to our learning environment that they've had all of this time. They could have, in my estimation, put together some scenarios, some real plans, and they could have come up with 4 or 5 different options on what to do in case of reopening based on certain things. Um,
Right.
and but to reopen and not to have things in place, not just with our grade schools, but even with our colleges.
Yeah.
As you can see, colleges opened up, and many of them have had problems. I think Alabama College University has had issues. They've had over 1,200 of their students that have been that have contracted this virus, and they've had to quarantine them. Not just that, the Alabama school, but I think Ohio and other schools and
North
colleges.
Carolina.
Yeah, yeah. So I think there is a problem when our leaders,
Yeah,
those who are in charge, just tiptoe around the issue rather than coming up with some real concrete plans and effective measures to help our young people and our students gain the proper education. Now, certainly, if we cannot get this virus, COVID 19, if we can't get a full handle on the virus, then certainly it makes opening anything dangerous.
yes,
That's not just schools and colleges, restaurants, libraries, businesses, because what happens is once you become lax and you relax your policies, and then you open up, and then you start to get a spike, then you've got to close back down again. And so it's like we're on this seesaw of up and down, up and down, up and down, and now we've got these crazy notions coming out of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue with these emergency uh, drugs that they're pushing and trying to get a vaccine in by election day, and then those at the CDC and other places that are supposed to be independent agencies are allowing themselves to be influenced to accept things. And what they're actually doing is creating problems for our
exactly.
young people. I mean, last check before we went on the air this evening, there's over 186,000 people that have died
Yes,
in the United States. 186,000 people that have died due to COVID in this United States. And so we have to be mindful of that, and we cannot put our young people, we cannot put our students at risk. That whether they talk about young folk can't contract it like the older folk, and it has been shown and demonstrated that young folk have died to this virus just like older folk.
yes, yes, yes. And that's sad because once again, as I was talking to a minister earlier today, it's misinformation. What's happening is the misinformation that we're getting from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We getting these mixed signals and all this stuff, and Pennsylvania Avenue, the leader 45 on Pennsylvania Avenue, he's saying one thing, and it's not coinciding with what Dr. Fauci is saying and the CDC, and we getting all these mixed messages. And yet, I don't know if this president number 45 take this for a joke, is taking it that um, I mean, to me, it just don't make sense. But getting back to the schools, I mean, he's rushing things, and then he's talking about let the Big Ten play and all this stuff. And yet, these young men, as he claimed to be strong and all this stuff, but what happens when they get sick and die? What happens to them? What happens to their families? You know? And once again, he's not taking in consideration all of these things. He's just talking to hear himself talk. He's pushing stuff out there. He's trying to get a cure by election so he can be re-elected. And I was telling some ministers, I said, don't take it. Don't take it. If he come up with a cure, don't take it. Because they haven't fully mastered this cure. And they don't know what it's going to do. So if I was you, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't give myself a shot or tell the doctor, yeah, let me take it. Because once again, you're only putting yourself in jeopardy. You're putting your family in jeopardy, because if it fails and you get sick and you still die because you took it, once again, it's foolish. So I'm just saying we're living in that kind of environment.
Well, Dr. Davis, I think that one of the things that we have done is we failed to hold him accountable. Uh,
Right.
those who are in office with him have failed to hold him accountable, and he has used us, the nation, as
Yeah.
his playground,
Yes.
and we have become expendable for his agenda.
Yep.
I have, as you can see, I have my grandson with me this evening, Kobe. He is 10 years old. Say hello, Kobe. Hello. And
Hello,
he
Colby.
he is with us tonight. Especially we talking about getting ready to go back to school. Of course, I'm sure he's not excited about being able to get up early in the morning again, getting back online to to do his studies. But what we have to do as parents, as grandparents, as leaders, we have to do what is right. We have,
Right.
and you and I have been talking for some time about it's not enough just for us to listen to what some people are saying, but we have to be guided. We have to be guided by the Spirit.
Right.
We have to be guided by the Spirit, because if we listen to what other people say, if we listen to what other people say, that we have to put a filter on the information. We thank
Right.
the viewer. I'm not sure who it is. The viewer, we put it up on the screen. Says thanks for sharing this. And so you are welcome. For those who are watching and viewing, please send us your comments. We will put your comments up on the screen. One of the questions that we're asking this evening for those who have children or those who are going back to school, parents, are you ready? Are you ready to send your loved one, your child, back to school? Are you ready to send them back into the environment of learning in this environment in which we're in? It's important for us to understand. It is important because what happens when your young person goes to school and they're talking about the different variations, whether it's uh, going to school for so many days in the week, 3 days, and breaking it up into small modules and that sort of thing. We have to be mindful of whether or not um, it's safe.
Right. That's
I
right.
mean, I mean, if they go out and they contract with someone else and they become infected and then they bring it home and it infects everybody else. It's just like I'm sure you've heard the actor Rock.
Yeah.
Uh,
Dwayne Johnson. Yeah.
right. It is now, they released yesterday that he, his wife, and his children
Yes.
all have contracted the virus.
Yep.
And he made a public statement saying he had some friends over, some close
Yeah.
friends, folk that he knew.
Yep.
He had them over, and as a result of that contact with some close friends, now his whole family has contracted the virus.
Yeah.
And so that's why people have invited me to things, and I've told folk, listen, no, no, I'm sorry, I can't jeopardize myself and my family
Right.
just to go and hang out in certain situations.
Right.
I would love to listen, but we've got to exercise some common sense, and then we've
Right.
got to take it beyond common sense. We got to walk by the Spirit. We've got
That's
listen.
right.
And now that the governor has put us in phase 3, starting at 5 o'clock on Friday tomorrow, now the numbers are going to be lifted. Larger gatherings, and from my understanding, movie theaters will be able to open up. The numbers for churches for congregations to gather. The numbers are going to increase. So larger amounts of people are going to be coming together. And listen, I'm not sure that everybody has taken this thing seriously.
Is
They
that what?
think because we've had a small decline, that I don't know, Dr. Day. I just don't know.
Well, it's phase three. Is that what that is? Phase
Yes,
three, the opening.
yes, phase three, the governor announced yesterday that he is putting the state into phase three. Phase three, which is the next step, which makes gatherings and it makes it starts to relax some of the restrictions. But then the mayor in Baltimore City said he's not putting the city in phase three, not yet. So the governor put the state in phase three, but the mayor says he's not putting the city in phase three. So there's another problem where you have, and it's not just here in Maryland or in
Right.
Baltimore, it's all over the country where you've got
Right.
governors saying one thing
Yeah,
and mayors saying something else. It's just a problem. We are
it
in a
is.
state of chaos, Dr. Davis.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, this is the problem that we have. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Is because we have too many things going on, and we have too many chiefs and not enough Indians. And and
I've
everybody
heard that
said,
statement before.
huh?
I said, I've heard that statement before.
Yes, sir. And so this is the problem that we're having because it's mixed information and one saying one thing, somebody else saying something else, and it's causing confusion. Now, what stage are y'all in now? Two or four or
We're in stage two. And
okay?
starting at 5 o'clock tomorrow, he's going to put the state of Maryland in phase three.
Okay.
You
So
know,
that means they can open up a little bit more.
yes, yes. Open up a little bit more, get wider. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
But they still gotta wear masks.
Yeah, still got to wear a mask. Well, it's supposed to. The question is, we don't know whether everybody's going to do it because there's still been a lot of protest about it. A lot of folks saying that they're not interested in it and stuff like that. But here is the situation. You've got, for instance, you've got the governor opens up the state, but then you've got the mayor of the city saying he's not going to go to phase three. But then you've got the executive of the county, Baltimore County, he's looking to open up. Then you got all of the other counties around. So it's like you go from one district to one county to another county, and then you've got different rules and different phases. When it seemed like to me there should be a collaborated effort on
Right.
exactly what we're doing, and we're not getting that.
But see,
All we have is a bunch of chaos running around and no real leadership. No real
right.
leadership.
Well, see, that's where the governor should have called the mayors together. He should have called each mayor of each city and people that's involved to come together. Let's talk about where we at. So we know how to open up if we should move to a stage three or phase three. And that's what I'm saying. They're giving out these mixed signals. And just like you said, you got one county saying we in phase three, another county said, well, no, we still in phase two. And you go in the one county to the next, which is always these mixed messages. This is why I hate what has gone on because it's so confusing. It is so confusing that it's a shame that once again, people's lives are at stake. People's lives are online, on jeopardy, and these people don't know what they're doing. They do not communicate with one another.
Well, one of the things I think that is unilateral in our state is all of our school systems, at least for the first semester, are going to open up by way of virtual. Let me just say to our Facebook users, I see that some of you are sending in comments. However, we're not able to see your comment because you did not accept the disclaimer from StreamYard. It's okay to accept the disclaimer from StreamYard, and that way we'll be able to see your comment. As it stands right now, all I see is says Facebook user, but I can't, for instance, let me show you, but I can't see who you are and I can't see your comment. And so what you have to do is accept the disclaimer from StreamYard, and it will put your information through, just like the person who did this. They accepted it. And so we want to air your comments. We want to do that, but you have to accept the disclaimer for StreamYard. And so, yes, it's listen. Um, Baltimore City has realized that there's a problem with the students, and they have put out a notice where they are opening up. I believe it is 15 substations where students will be able to come um, for the purpose of using their Wi-Fi to do studies. From my understanding, they're using recreation centers and some schools, various places, especially throughout the African American community or the low income areas. There was a notice or announcement made today, about that, and that's good. That's good. However, those students have to go to where those locations are. Um,
Right.
at least they showed on one of the news stations this morning. I forget where it was, but two students had went to a Wendy's. They were sitting outside of a Wendy's on the curb doing their schoolwork because that was how they were able to gain access to um, to Wi-Fi. And
Right.
some people saw it and they decided, well, they was going to do something to try to help them, and they did. But we have to realize. Hello, Kobe. Kobe is one of sitting here with us this evening, and I guess he wanted to see himself up on the screen. But here's the thing: we have to realize that we have a problem.
Yeah.
We have a problem. And especially with all the things that's going on in and around the African American community, the problems that we're dealing with as it relates to systemic racism, poverty, and all of that kind of stuff. Listen, this problem that we have is really bigger than us.
Yes.
We don't really understand the long reaching effects of really what we're dealing with. We have things that are popping off and things that are coming to light now because we have access to cameras, and people are videotaping and showing things, and we're seeing things more and more and more, and people have been sending me videos and stuff non-stop of wrongdoings and stuff like that. Listen, there's so much stuff going on out there that we have no real handle on what's going on. And then Dr. Davis, to hear the interview yesterday of the Attorney General say some of the things that he said during an interview on CNN was just
Yeah.
simply
Yes.
unbelievable. I mean,
Yes.
I mean, many of the things that he said was just downright, outright lies.
Yep.
I mean, how can he, as the top lawyer for the nation, say that he doesn't know what the individual laws are for various states as it becomes to folk voting
Voting.
multiple
Yes.
times? How in the world
Yes.
can he say that? How can he say
Because
that when it's against the law? It's a felony.
exactly. Exactly. But he's playing to his audience of one, which is the man in the White House, is what he's playing to, and he's just going along with whatever he can say ignorant, because once again, he's the attorney general. He should know the federal laws. And to sit there and act like he don't know if it's against the law to vote twice. That's what he said. He don't know if it's against. What you mean you don't know?
Well, his boss told people to send in their ballots and then go to the poll, and if it allows you to vote, go ahead and vote. See, what he's
Right.
trying to do is he's trying to establish
Yep.
voter fraud.
Yep.
And if he
That's
can
what
establish voter fraud, whether it's from his people or or well, let's say from the Democrats or the Republicans, if he can establish voter fraud, then he can try to get the election results thrown out.
exactly. Exactly. And that's exactly what he's trying to do. He's trying to get voter fraud even on his side or our side, either the Republicans or Democrats. He really don't care. And they already don't warn you it's a felony to vote twice. It's a 5-year prison term, $10,000 up front. They don't, I mean, you can't make it no clearer than that. But
Dr.
he
Dave,
don't care.
Dr. Dave, this whole thing is challenging and it's interesting. But I'm trying to stay on our topic tonight, which is going back to school. But
Yeah,
it's hard to stay on topic when we've got so much stuff going on in
yeah.
and around exactly what we are being challenged with. Kobe, you're with us tonight. You're sharing with us. What are your feelings about getting ready to go back to school?
Well,
We're talking to the camera there.
um, I'm not that ready for school because, well, it's not that fun to me.
You're not ready to go back to school because it's not that fun.
Yeah.
What's not? What are you saying? It's not that fun.
Well, we just sit in class and then we just learn stuff. But when we go outside and play, that's where all the stuff gets fun.
Oh, so all you want to do is just go outside and play.
That's not the only thing.
You don't want to say, well, you haven't been in school now for several months. You've been doing classes and doing work online, right?
Yeah.
You've been studying, and school actually starts back up again, I believe, next week for you guys, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to be online again. Are you ready?
I guess since it is on online, but after that we had to go back to the real school.
Well, they haven't decided exactly when they're going to actually go back to real classes, and what's that's going to actually look like. But starting out, you guys are going to be doing virtual learning. They will be sending you all's information, your schoolwork to you, and then you have to log onto your laptop and be in your classroom environment where the teacher is teaching by way of virtual. How did you do with virtual learning before school ended last quarter?
I did I did pretty good on yeah, I did pretty good on it.
You were able to keep up with what the teacher was teaching?
Yes.
Because I know you had to log in. Each student, Dr. Davis, I'm not sure if you're aware how it operates, but each student has a login and a password where they log into the school system's website. And
Okay.
in that site, when they put in their password and their ID, they go to their class, their teacher's class, and then they have all of their subjects listed. And they click on to the subject, whatever subjects they're doing for that day, and then they have their assignment. But then
Right.
they also have work that they have to print out and complete. And so they were supposed to have been emailing it back or scanning it or sending it back to the teacher. I know there were some challenges with that because everybody didn't have printers and all of that kind of stuff. Everybody didn't have scanners. And so they were doing work, but the work wasn't getting graded, wasn't getting checked or anything like that. So I'm hoping, I haven't talked to my daughter to find out what they're actually doing this time, but I know there was a lot of problems. There was a lot of
Right.
problems with it. I know I had to help him go online a couple of times and help get some of his schoolwork and stuff like that printed out. But it's a challenge.
Yeah,
It's
it
a,
is. It is.
um.
Hey,
So
Kobe. Hey,
Hmm?
Kobe.
Yes.
Did you like going to class or do you like doing the schoolwork at home online?
I do my schoolwork home online.
Oh, from the house? Okay.
Mhm.
You like that better?
Yes.
Okay. Why? You can do your work in your pajamas?
No.
I'm just messing with you, Kobe.
But this is what we as parents and leaders, grandparents, we have to really be. We have to almost look at this as going back to Dr. Davis, home learning.
Yeah.
I watched the news. They were talking about how homeschooling programs have had a spike in enrollments
Mm.
because parents are not comfortable with sending their kids back to regular school. So they're now enrolling them into schooling programs.
Okay.
They said they've had a spike in applications and enrollment. Even
Right.
here in Baltimore, I think St. Joseph's private school, they've had a spike in enrollments because people
Okay.
don't trust the public school system. Uh,
Right.
the Catholic school system, I think they are opening back up with limited in-person learning. I saw something on the news about that. But my concern is that we do not have, at least for our state, from what I have been able to see, we do not have a baseline recommendation for the entire learning environment.
Right.
Our governor has left too much to individual districts and school systems to come up with their own way of doing things. And I think it has left us paralyzed,
Right.
left us at a disadvantage. And our young people, listen, our young people are going to suffer.
Yeah. That's
They're going
right.
to suffer. They're going to suffer from not having the appropriate schooling and challenging and testing. Testing is going to be changed. The reading, we already was compromised in our reading with some of our students. So the
Yep.
reading level is going to go way down. Libraries is
Yep.
limited what they can do. And so I've been challenging parents. Listen, you have to have your young folk read.
Yes. Yes.
Read, read books, read the newspaper, read magazines. You've got to have your young people engaged in reading. Some
Yeah.
type
That's
of
right.
reading. They ought to be reading at the minimum an hour a day. They cannot
Yeah.
be playing on the computers and the tablets and the iPhones and iPads, everything. They have to engage in some reading.
Yes. 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 Especially at a time like this. Because somebody asked me, um, are you bored at home? I said, no, all these books I have here, I got a Bible that I can go back and read again. I said, look, I'm never bored because I got too much to read. I mean, I got books on top of books, and once again, and I think reading helps educate the mind, helps stimulate the mind, helps. I mean, it's a lot about reading, and I think once again, this is where we have to go back to. You have to go back and read and read and read, and that's one of the things I challenge my grandkids this year because when school went down, I told them, look, get a book, keep reading. Don't stop reading. You need to continue to read everything you can get your hands on. This will help you when school open. When you go back to school, this would help you tremendously. So read everything you can get your hands on and keep yourself abreast. Read the newspaper. Read what's going on in the world. Because once again, this would help you. When school open, you'll be ahead of the game. And so I had to challenge my grandkids, to read. And I'm going to challenge you because I'm going to ask you what you read. Because I want to know if you're reading.
Well, you and I are cut from the same cloth. That's one of the things that I often do. I always ask, what are you reading? What are
Right.
you, when they give me the name of the book, I say, well, tell me a little bit about it. Tell me
Right.
about what you're reading.
That's right.
Um, do you understand what you read?
That's right.
You know, it's not enough just to read, but we have to understand. We have to sharpen our comprehension skills. Listen, I am still pushing for families to get back to family time.
Right.
There was a time I know when we were coming up, Dr. Davis, when we didn't sit in the living room.
Yep.
The living room, back in the day, those of you all can remember. And if you remember this, shoot me a comment. When the living room furniture had vinyl slip covers on.
That's right. That's right.
you had you had a sofa, you had a coffee table, and then you had a big chair,
Yeah.
and you may have had an ottoman there, or you may have had two big chairs. And in most living rooms, when we were coming along, that you didn't have no TV.
That's right.
There was no TV in the living room.
That's right.
So, and we spent our time, our family time, either around the dining room table
That's right.
or around the kitchen table.
That's
That's
right.
how we played games.
That's
We
right.
had family time. Uh,
Yep.
some of the games we played, you remember pickup sticks?
Yep.
We played
Yep.
pickup sticks.
Pick up sticks. And then my
Dominoes,
sister
they
had
call they
had
call them
jacks.
bones.
Yep.
We played dominoes. We played pickup sticks. We played,
Jacks.
huh?
Jacks. You remember jacks with the ball?
Yeah, that's what the kids. That's what we played outside. But I'm talking about inside in the house. We played the games we played around the table. We played dominoes. We played pickup sticks. We played checkers. We played backgammon.
Yeah.
You know, we played.
Yeah.
We had some cards that we played. Uno. That
Yeah.
came later on. But we played spades and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah.
those were the days. Those were the days. Okay, all right. We got some folk coming chiming in. Look, somebody say, Dr. Davis, they played jacks inside.
That's what we did. We played jacks inside. We sat on the floor. We we sat on the floor, bro.
But those were the days when we had real family time.
Yep.
We had real family time. And we sat around and we talked and mama fixed them home cooked meals. You remember them home cooked meals, Dr.
Do I
Davis?
remember them?
Man, them home. I'm talking about when mama went in the kitchen and she went in the kitchen around 1 o'clock, getting dinner ready for 5 o'clock. We
Yep.
had we always had some kind of green, some fresh green, some greens,
Yeah.
collards, some kale, some turnips, some mustard, some spinach,
Yeah.
some broccoli, some green beans, some cabbage. We had that.
Yeah.
We had that. We had a good vegetable. Then mama always had a good starch. She could make,
Yeah.
oh man, she could do something with some potatoes, mashed
Yeah.
potatoes and uh, buttered potatoes and scalloped potatoes, all
Yeah.
kinds of potatoes, and all kinds of stuff. And then she'd
That's
have
right.
rice. Then we had homemade gravy. I mean, doc, I ain't talking about that powdered stuff in a package or that stuff in a jar
No.
can. We had homemade gravy to go down over top of our meat.
Yes,
Whether
sir.
whether she fried some pork chops and smothered them in some onions and gravy, or whether she had some ham. They took that ham and then they put it in that cast iron skillet. I know these young folk don't know nothing about that black cast iron skillet, and put that ham down in there and put some water over it, and that's where they got that term red eye gravy.
Yes, sir. That's
Red
right.
eye gravy. David, back
That's
there,
right.
you remember about
Yep.
that red eye gravy?
I sure do. And my mother, because there was 11 of us, she would even fix some biscuits, so the biscuits would fill us up too.
Oh
You had
yeah.
potatoes, then she gave some biscuits, and we could only get 2 biscuits. You couldn't get a third and a fourth one. You could only get two because there was 11 of us. So hey, Well, man, I remember them days, boy.
Remember the days? Hey, look, and also back in them days, we couldn't get no dessert and we couldn't drink no juice. Well, our juice back in them days, Dr. Davis, was Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid, that's it.
Kool-Aid was the big thing. We couldn't
That's right.
drink no Kool-Aid. You couldn't drink no
Yep,
Kool-Aid. You couldn't get no dessert if you didn't eat all of your food.
yep, that's right. That's right. And we weren't allowed to drink until we ate all our food. They said, no, you can't drink yet. Eat some more of that food.
Somebody said they remember. They remember. Yeah, there goes some of my folk. Yeah, but yeah, we got to get back to that family time. We got to get back to that.
Yeah,
Having that reading, just sit around the table.
yeah,
Sit around. I remember in my father's house, of course, because he was a preacher, we couldn't eat until you said a Bible verse.
yeah, that's right.
Went around the table. Everybody
That's
had
right.
to say a Bible verse. Of course, everybody wanted to be first so they could say Jesus wept.
Yep, that's right. I'm telling you, boy, 'cause that's what we did. That's what we did, brother. That's what we did. We had to sit around the table and everybody had to come up with a Bible verse. And like I said, it was 11 of us. I'm the sixth child of 11. And by the time they got to me, I wanted to say the Lord is my shepherd, but somebody done took that one. I wanted to say the Lord is my light. Somebody done took that one. I said, Lord, I just can't win. My father said, boy, you better learn a verse. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But
I
yeah,
started learning.
those were the days we thought it was hard, and certainly it was hard. But
Yeah.
it kept us out of trouble.
But notice back then, we all sat down and ate together.
Together.
We sat down and ate together. I'm telling you, wasn't no going back later on because you missed dinner. My father said, no, supper time, I want all of y'all here to sit down and eat. And my mother had the food ready. We would sit down and eat. Everybody had to eat together. And we had sat down at that table and ate. Now, if you messed up during the day, and my mother said, Joseph, act up. My father said, go ahead and eat and meet me in the basement. And you know what that meant.
No, Dr. Davis, you can't talk about that.
Yes, sir.
That's
Hey,
another
wasn't no
subject for
child
another
abuse
day.
back then, boy. No, sir. No, wasn't no child abuse back then, boy. My
It
father
was.
said, meet him in the basement.
It was child abuse. They just didn't identify it as such.
No, brother, wasn't no child abuse. Man, you could tell, I don't care. You could call the police or anybody else. My father said, I'm the head of this house. And ain't nobody gonna tell me how to run my house. I say, yes, sir.
But
I'm telling you.
some of these things we've got to get back to, especially with the families and the times in which we live in now. It's amazing. Now, I am not one to say that God put this virus on us. I would not say that. But I do believe that God has two wills.
Right,
He has a permissive will, that what he permits to happen.
right,
And then he has a preventive will, that
right,
which he prevents from happening.
right,
Um, and certainly God could be using this COVID-19 to bring the family back together.
right.
We've shut down everything around us, can't go no place. So now we're back in the house,
Yeah,
and we should be sharing together,
right.
but now everybody's in their room doing their thing.
Yeah,
And we are so bad off until we could be in the same house, but instead of going and talk to the other person, we send a text.
yeah,
We send a text. We in the same house. They in the next room. We won't get up and go to the door and say so and so and so and so, but we send a text.
yeah,
We have become so isolated
yeah,
in a inclusive environment.
yeah.
And
That's right.
and certainly we need to get back to what we were doing years ago. The families, Dr. Davis, were stronger.
Yeah,
They were stronger.
that's right. That's
Right.
right.
Some of the parents and grandparents, they didn't even know how to read.
Right. That's
If
right.
the child didn't know, they didn't know how to read. And so they tell them to sit down, let's read this book together,
That's what they said.
and they tell the child to read. And the child didn't know that they didn't know
No,
whether they
that's right. That's right.
right or
That's
not.
right.
They didn't know if they was pronouncing the words right or
No,
not. But they
that's right.
right there with them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
and the families grew stronger, grew closer together,
Yeah.
learned from one another. Mothers would teach the daughters how to cook. I know they don't want to talk about that, Doc Davis. They did much of that cooking from scratch.
Right. That's right. That's right.
You know, there
No,
you
they don't.
always you could always find a big round ceramic bowl and a wooden spoon and and uh, a black iron skillet in just about every black family's kitchen.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, sir. It's amazing. It's amazing where we at today. Because I said this before. I said the young people today do not know how to survive. Our parents knew how to survive because they knew how to get food that would last for weeks. My mother, she had a plan every day of the week. What she gonna fix this day? What she gonna fix that day? She knew what exactly she gonna fix. These young folk today, they don't know how to plan their meals. You know what I'm saying? But it's easy for them to go to Kentucky Fried. It's easy for them to go to Popeyes.
Watch out there, Dr. Davis. He likes chicken and fries. Kobe likes Kobe likes chicken and fries.
He like the chicken and fries. All right.
Chicken and
Of
fries.
course, everybody knows that.
Huh?
I said, of course, everybody knows.
Everybody knows that. Oh, okay. But occasionally I get him to eat something different. Occasionally.
Right.
And we
Right.
do it all the time.
He always, well, pop up. I don't like that. I said, you don't know whether you like it. You haven't tried it. And
Right.
so I
That's
always
right.
try to get him try this, and then he'll eat it. He's like, oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Now, one of the things that I got him to try that he likes, he
no,
likes, he likes it so much, and his mother, she got upset with me because I let him try it. What was it, Kobe?
What?
Deer meat. I let him try some
What?
deer meat. Oh man, he got some deer. I got a friend of mine gave me some deer sausage, some deer
Right.
bologna, and some
Right.
slim. And man, I let him try that. Man, he fell in love with it, and he told his mama that he had it, and his mama got mad with me because I let her son eat Bambi.
Right.
Good.
Bambi good. I got some deer burgers in the freezer now.
Is that right,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Davis? You've been holding out on me.
Yes, sir. My neighbor brought me some deer burger, boy. I said, yes, sir. We eat deer burger. Yes, sir. A couple years ago, I had polar bear burger.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
telling you, talking about something good, brother.
I haven't gone that far with it yet. I haven't
Yes,
gone
sir,
that
boy.
far. But certainly, we want all of our family and friends. We want you all to be mindful that school is getting ready to start back up. It's getting ready to start back up, and you have to um, get ready for it. You have to prepare yourselves, get your minds ready, because again, it's getting ready to start back
Yeah,
up, and we have to start getting our young people ready for what's coming up. Certainly, we know the holiday is coming, and we want everybody to have an enjoyable holiday.
yeah,
But parents, please do what you need to do for your young people to get them ready for schooling. And although it's going to be virtual starting out for the first semester, we encourage you. Make sure that your students take at least an hour out of the day to read. Have them turn off their electronic devices and read something. Newspaper. Just about every house gets the little advertisement circulars that come. Have them read that. We're not saying spend a lot of money to go out and buy books. If you can, wonderful. If you got some books that you want to give to somebody, let us know and we'll come get them and we'll pass them out to people that would like to get them for their students. But listen, we have to do what we need to do to make
Yeah.
sure our students don't miss out on their education. Well, Dr. Davis,
Yes,
one
sir.
more time, we've been here sharing, trying to help our community. Thank you
Yeah.
for your time, for your involvement, for your participation.
Thank
And
you.
we'll see you. We'll see everybody on next week.
All right. Everybody have a blessed Labor Day. Be safe.
All right.